Okay, here we go.
Attackers incoming in 30
And
seconds.
what level are you playing at now? I know you took some time off.
I took some time off, and I'm currently living in Asia and Japan,
Okay.
so I'm Plat.
Okay.
They play there's very little trickling that I notice,
Yeah.
which is very interesting.
Yeah. Cultures can be different. Cultures can be different. You see that if you play on different servers and different multiplayer. Anyway, doesn't matter.
3,
Yeah,
2,
yeah.
1. Attackers incoming. Stop the payload.
Okay, so you can set up here, like we talked about, but again, I'd probably prefer that you set up somewhere like here because you're looking to take this, like we sort of talked about at the beginning.
Right.
You could also set up here, and this would be perfectly fine too, and you have an easier out. So, like, you could even set up here, and I'd prefer it to where you're set up because right now, if they're not running Winston, if they're running Reinhardt, well, you're not really close enough to hold the corner. You sort of have to jump over him. You're not going to have a good angle. We don't really like this.
Makes sense.
You're going to push Widow. You're going to push Widow now. Now. Okay. So you see how this works? You don't want to jump her early, but now you do want to jump her because her team has become relevant to your team, right?
Right.
So this is when it's critical that she's tied up. You don't need Widow tied up 24/7 because you can't tie her up 24/7. You just don't have the ability to do that. So when it's critical that you tie her up is during the moments that your team would like to fight or during the early part of the team fight when the team fight has actually begun. So is Widow dangerous to your team right now?
If they peak, yes.
Sure. Would your team like to be fighting their team right now?
No.
Okay. I'm
Well, I
not sure
mean,
I agree with that. Like, I look at this and go,
okay.
go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say that like with Widow uncontested, then probably
Okay,
not. But if
got
I
it.
were to contest it, yes.
Yes. If Widow's out of the equation, your team is like, yes, we would like to punish these guys. The cart's sitting here around the corner. Anna would have to like round the corner. Like Anna's in this place here. They're back here. Like we're in this situation where they have to push through this narrow choke. Yeah, your team would generally like to do this, except that the Widow and Hanzo are issues. And you can very much go deal with this one, and you're probably not going to get punished for that, right? Like there's not even a situation, not even a diva who's going to come punish you for that. Worst thing that's going to happen is what Hanzo's going to come up and help. You'll be okay. Sounds good. Instead, you do this, and now you're committed to here. And this is like
Right.
maybe not the most terrible bubble in the world. It is protecting you, but it's how do I want to put this? But it's protecting you. You know, it's like, hey, Storm Arrow is scary, Widow Damage is scary. It lets your team fight, but you're really trying to use this like a Rhine shield, and you're not Reinhardt. So like, it's not going to hold up as well as Reinhardt. We don't really like this, right?
Right. Agreed.
Okay. Sure. So you can do this. You absolutely have the option to do this, and these guys are low health, and maybe you'll be able to Tesla this down. But you know, you could also hop up here and drop your bubble up here and be like, nope, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. Like I'm okay with you fighting here. You're using the corner, but you're really trying to frontline pretty hard. Again, they're low health, but against a Reinhardt here.
Right. Makes sense. I should have done that.
All good. Okay, where could you go right now? Because you can't just straight dive this, right? They'll crush you.
High ground.
You could go high ground. You don't have leap back yet, though. So where
Right.
can you actually go?
Back right for the mega, or
You could do
to the
that.
right
Exactly. I'm going to want you
and
to
wrap
circle
around.
back here because, like, hey, you circle back here, you might actually be able to find, like, a Widow that freshly used her grapple, which, oh, what do you know? Or you're going to be able to walk into the back of these guys, drop your bubble so that you've got that and be like, hey, I'm fighting you Bap or I'm fighting you Hanzo. And the front line has to decide, shoot, do we turn around and walk back? They don't really want to do that. If they turn around to walk back to deal with you, your backline gets to shoot into them for free, right?
Makes sense.
And you'll
Yeah.
have your leap if you don't like the situation to hop out or to hop back towards your team because you walked in. Not that.
Yeah.
All good. Okay. So, I get it. You just decided, hey, we need to stop the point. I'm going to try to do this. I can live with it. You have people alive. I don't necessarily think you're going to stop the point, but hey, we'll live.
Right. I was hoping that I could either force out an ultimate or
Mhm.
build some more charge.
Mhm.
But looking back on it, I kind of see like that is a mistake because I am feeding like a lot of enemy ult charge.
Right. It is a
With
lot of health that you're spending, and I don't think you're going to do as much as you're going to feed. And is the combination of how much you do versus feed plus the time worth it?
yeah,
Maybe not. But the thing you run into is, would your team have gotten out? And it kind of looks to me like, yeah, your team was going to get out. Diva just reset into here, and these guys can probably get out if they want. So maybe not our best play, but that's okay.
yeah.
My ultimate is ready.
Zarya, ready
Once
for
more
duty.
unto the breach.
Personne n'échappe à mon regard.
Mm-hmm.
Healing stream engaged.
Oh no, that's just mechanical.
This will
Okay.
protect
Yeah.
Totally get it. That's mechanical. Zarya's not looking at you. I get it, but Zarya's not looking at you. And you drop this.
this will protect us.
Where do we actually want to go right now? Rather than having
On the
dropped this
Widow.
bubble. Right.
On
And
the
we,
Widow with the bubble.
right. So we can just walk up here and go do that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All good.
And then I should have saved my jump for that.
Yep.
I panic jumped,
You
got
did.
excited.
You panic jumped when you saw her and you're like, I'm going to get my damage on her, but you've been able to just walk on her. So it would have been like, hey, you can walk on her, you can crouch walk on her, whatever. You don't need to leap on her because if you leap on her, A, you didn't get max damage. She was too close for you to hit a max damage jump. You're too far away with the impact. But B, now you've got to wait on your jump cooldown. And this is just how this engagement goes if you do it like this. And it's not the end of the world. Your jump will come back a lot faster than her grapple, but this is a time in a lot of situations where, depending on how this evasion happens, she's now free to shoot at your team for a good 3 seconds before you're back on her. And if you'd done this at the normal timing at the beginning of the fight, and let's say she'd fled in this direction, just as an example, she's now free in the middle of the fight when your team was counting on tying her up, right?
Right.
Yeah, so if we can walk on her, we like to. Oh boy.
Walk it off.
What just happened?
I got bubbled by Zarya.
Yep. Might have been a weird Zarya bubble timing, but this is definitely too early
Yeah.
to then drop our bubble. So double bubble is a
Yeah.
thing. She didn't bubble you at a particularly good time,
Barrier active.
but you want to try to take some advantage of it. Okay, so she's not going to bubble back yet.
Sniper. Be careful. Once more unto the breach. You have my thanks.
Okay.
You have my thanks.
She's right here, right?
Mhm.
So if you go
I see
in,
the
go ahead.
right.
She's
I was gonna
probably
say-
going to bubble you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I saw the monkey, but like the reason was I was trying to
Oh, who cares?
contest the payload.
Yeah,
too.
who cares about the monkey? You're not good at
Yeah.
fighting the monkey. You're much better at fighting the BAP here. So you go in, but you don't want to bubble. You're okay. Let her bubble you.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, and you might have even broken her line of sight, and maybe she didn't have bubble, but she did. She didn't do it. You guys are going to have some communication difficulties at this point, but that's okay. There's your bubble. Okay. I'm not sure I'd have gone with that, because now you have trouble getting out. So, like, here you are. Are you going to you know this Zarya's health. You know this Zarya's basically full health. Are you going to finish this Zarya off if you jump on her here?
No.
Do you have a bubble, either yours or Zarya's, to help you in this fight that's going to happen between you and Zarya?
Not for like another, I think, 8 seconds, maybe
Right.
6 at this point.
And is there like anywhere you can really kite to in this Zarya battle to just leave it? Like this isn't like you're jumping on her here and you sort of kite around here, or maybe you drop or something like this, or you jump on her up here and then you drop. Like there's nowhere for you to go if this fight doesn't go right, right?
Right.
So you're purely on, I hope my supports keep me alive and I hope things don't go wrong. And that's not really a time. Like, we have to value our own life more than that as Winston. This, even though it's like, hey, maybe now you've got cover against Anna or whatever, this isn't a particularly good jump. And you're sort of trying to kite out using the cart, but, like, this is creating the situation where what's going to happen next is you get purpled. And I don't care if you'd been purpled, I don't care if you'd been burst for 300 damage, I don't care if you'd been discorded. Like, I don't actually care which specific things of those happened. We kind of knew something bad was going to happen. Like, you're vulnerable, and they know you're vulnerable in this sort of situation, so they're going to punish you. And it looks like that's what they're trying to do. Which, you know, you might not get punished more than this, but you have to value your own life more than that and think about that second jump. That second jump either needs to finish someone off, get you out, or leave you in a place where you can kite effectively. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And when I'm talking about the second jump, I'm talking about the one that doesn't have the bubble ready.
Moving in.
You guys are not on the same page. That's unfortunate. Just wait. Just wait. No. Too early. You lost your Anna, but they're not pushing. Your Hanzo's leaving. Maybe he'll peek them again. Yes, I see the purple, but, like, that's Zarya. So if you drop now, you're zapping Zarya in the back while getting shot in the back, or you're facing who knows how many people at once, and you're not actually going to get eliminations when you're fighting 3 people like this. You're going to keep pressure on them, and that can be very good pressure, but that's very good pressure to fight while your team deals with a Winston that's in, a Zarya that's in, a Reinhardt that's in, a Genji that's in. It stops them from getting support, it puts pressure on them, but would you expect to get an elimination here?
Only if I were to, like, pop Primal.
Right. If you have a Nano or a Primal, maybe that changes. But even if you have, like, a Zarya bubble or a Repair Pack or a Harmony Orb, that doesn't really change, right?
Yeah, you're right.
So these timings where we go, I'm just trying to distract, I'm just trying to pressure 3 people, they're either like, this is generically good. If pressuring people is generically good because it can enable someone else to get an elimination, it charges up ults, and it lets your team deal with someone who's in. But there's no one in right now, and you're going to have a less good situation after you do this. You're going to be spending your bubble to do this, and there's no chance really of like a Hanzo or a Genji or someone connecting and finishing off someone that you're holding weak at the moment that you're about to hold these guys weak, is there? Like maybe a right click from Zarya, but it's pretty minimal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we would instead, if we were going to take this, want to wait until either our team was in better positions to threaten these guys, which, hey, you know, maybe our Hanzo's going to re-threaten, maybe our Zarya's going to do it, maybe that's enough, and or we'd want to wait for these guys to go forward so that we can actually drop behind them, because that's going to slow their reaction time to deal with us, or at least, you know, we're zapping them from above. We don't really want to drop and instantly be in their crosshair, which is what you do here. You follow?
Yeah, I should have came from the backside too.
Yep.
Yeah.
That would have been possible. The one problem with that is the backside has charged their spawn, and McCree might have chipped you a little more because of it. But yes. Okay, we got the Widow. That's nice. We shouldn't have got the Widow when there was a Bap and a Nana there, but I'll take it.
I knew you could do it.
Oh boy.
Barrier activated.
I realized I was being healed, and then I still panic bubbled.
Yep. I get it. You were pretty low health. It wasn't great, but... Beautiful. It's fine. Okay, you're just gonna walk in because you're bubbled? No, you're slow. So this happens. You two are not at all at the same page, but you just need to, like, W into this. Like, you just need to try to get something out of this, because, like, even though half of this bubble is gonna be wasted, it's the sort of thing where you go, hey, I can get some value out of the second half, I can get some damage done, because during the second half of the bubble, my reload will have been completed, and I'll still have my leap to either finish someone else off or to retake a better position, like up here. But that's okay. You're going for Widow, fine.
This will protect us.
Yeah, I don't care about the cart this much. So, like, here you are. And this is okay, but this is exactly what I'm talking about. If I'd actually prefer that you, at this point, fight these guys back here. You pressure the Widow, you pressure the Ana, you do this with your bubble, and just trust that, hey, my team is going to figure out how to take care of the Winston that's in here. You don't do much damage to a Winston. You don't peel a Winston very effectively. The only time in the sort of meta-ish double bubble composition that you really are interested in peeling a Winston is when he engages, like, back here, where his team can't support him. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
So you just sort of have to go, I'm going to trust my team to 3v1 him, 4v1 him, 5v1 him. I'm going to do what I can, if his backline is relevant, to make his backline not relevant, so it's actually a 1v5. Or a 5v2, or whatever the case may be. Yeah, peeling him with Primal is okay, not amazing. Grab incoming. Okay, so. Here's the thing with this Primal. We go here. And if we're primaling to keep their Winston in that's trying to leave, that maybe has some value. That's maybe a, like, well, our team can get an elimination out of that. But is that really what's going to happen here? Like, this Winston isn't weak, and Winston is a hard hero to keep in, right? With his leap and all that. If it was Reinhardt, you could bring Reinhardt to your team and be like, no, I'm creating separation. Or you could do that with Zarya. You could bring Zarya to your team, and your team would happily, destroy the Zarya. But if we're going for Winston here, and we're sort of sending him away from our team, and then we're like, I'm separating Zarya. Well, separating Zarya could be useful if your whole team was ready to hit some synchronized dive on them, but really you need to bring this Zarya to your team for it to be useful. Because this is just a bad trade. You're spending Primal, you're probably not going to eliminate her, and she's going to get grab out of you, right?
Right.
Okay. So we would have preferred if we were going to use our Primal like this, and this is a totally reasonable way to use Primal, especially when you mechanically aren't super confident in your Primal. Bring a target that your team can destroy to your team. Generally, a better thing, though, would have been, hey, I'm going to go on the squishy, I'm going to land, hit, follow, land, hit, try to put them up against a wall. Again, the really advanced version would be landing damage, hit them right before you land, they haven't gone anywhere, then you hit the landing damage, then you hit them a third time with the beginning of that. But I don't need you to have that yet.
Right. There's so many mistakes I'd be seeing after I rewatch it. And I'm
all
just
good.
Like, but in the heat of the moment, it just feels right. And it's so wrong.
Oh, sure. The game is so fast, but that's why we try to train you with the right habits one at a time, because it feels right to do it wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys are on defense. I don't really need you over here, like, looking for things to do. Like, again, this is what we were talking about with kill boxes, where it's like you can sort of let them come in, let them walk past, and then have juicy stuff to go after. Out here, you just sort of put yourself in a situation where, oh shoot, remember what I was taught? Well, I mean, your backline's here, fortunately, so you should get some help. But especially if your backline was back here, or if your Anna was back here, they've now created a situation where their Winston can afford to fight you because some of your backline is going to struggle to help you. So, like, oops, you played yourself.
Yeah.
Excuse me for dropping.
Enemy is here.
That was for micro, that's fine. Okay. So that was really aggressive. So we do this,
Yeah.
and I'm actually okay with this. Like, I don't love it, but I am okay with this idea of, hey, I'm going to go after these people. I don't know that I'd have used Leap. I really don't, because dropping wasn't going to cost you that much. But even if you do use Leap, that's okay. But we're then immediately thinking about angling out this way, where we've got this as cover, where there's a health pack over here. Like, we're immediately thinking about, hey, I'm hitting this leap. I'm potentially hitting this leap like here-ish, to try to drive these people this way, maybe drive these people forward, so that you can zap them, and you can line of sight on this as your survival tool. So right now, you're landing, and you're 6 seconds from bubble and 5 seconds from leap. You don't have a primal, and you don't have nano. So, uh-oh.
Yeah.
And I don't
no,
want to.
Indeed.
Yeah, I don't want to push into this, even with the Mercy pocket, even with Mercy going, oh, look at all this juicy damage I can get damage boosting this 4-person zap. That's great, except that you can't pull the ripcord when it gets bad right now.
Yeah.
Feeling powerful. Re-engaging.
Good. Sure. Okay, you got the finish. Now you sort of need to kite. Yeah. Kind of got lost in negative primal, but you get 1 out of it. You get 2 out of it. You're going to get 2 out of this. Too much. Okay. So here we are. Beautiful. I can live with this. Now we have to decide, this is sort of awkward, because he's at that exact distance where you go, am I supposed to leap at him or walk at him? Right? Like, I'm sure that's exactly what's going through your head. So it sucks, but we just think about which way do we want him to go. And I'd be willing to leap at him because I don't really want him to back up further. If I leap at him, it's kind of going to keep him on the bridge a little better. So we're going to leap and we're going to go past him. You sort of baited a little bit, though. So here we go. If you're going to leap at him, you still do a short S step here, right? Like, you shouldn't be going forward like you're doing here if you're then going to leap. You want to do an absolute minimum distance jump, so you want to be holding S. But you also kind of wanted to back up a step to put him a little more optimally in range. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. Because this, even if you do... That's not an absolute minimum range, but a short range jump like this, and you do get that, which is good, you could have had more impact damage here. You could have had him closer to the epicenter with a backstep there, and he would have had a tough time reacting. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So hey, we got good value out of that primal. It saved our life and got us 2.
Lost temper.
60 seconds remaining.
Personne n'échappe à mon regard.
Welcome to my position.
Leave.
Heroes never die.
And there it is. You see the BAP you can go after. Whoa.
Yeah, mechanically missed that.
Yep.
Just really scuffed.
Yep. little bit. At this point, it's junk time, though. Now you're going to primal. Sure.
And I should have let the D.Va slept and jumped the Widow.
Yeah, but only if you have enough coverage on point. You can do this. Now you can't. We go do this. That's good. Now we look at this, and we go for this, and I like this. So now you have a decision to make of, okay, how do I win this? Well, I don't want the Baby D.Va to remake. That would be very bad. But I also would like to get this Discord off the table. And this Discord isn't going to fall off you. So you got to pick one. The Zen is probably, in hindsight, the better pick, but you're on the D.Va, and I can live with that. But let's slow this down and give you a different perspective. Okay, you're following her out there. That melee, unfortunately, didn't connect. Okay, that would have been hard to make work. You really just needed to go on the Zen and try to make that fight work instead. But that's tough. And why did we want the Zen to go down?
The Discord, it's just too much damage, and it's going to help Baby D.Va, like, just eat through me, and at the same time get into her mech, and then she's just going to destroy me.
Sure. Plus that Harmony Orb is giving her 30 health per second, and you do how much damage?
70, I believe,
60.
or is it 60?
It's 60.
60.
So it's 60, and that's assuming that reloads never get in the way, which they will if this goes too long, especially if she's getting health. If she's getting health, you need to fight her for longer, which causes you to get to a reload, which causes your DPS to fall. So yeah, so we did really want to go for Zen first there, but not a big deal.
Yeah. Zen next time. Okay.
And you got to think about that when you're fighting squishies, especially squishies that are likely to try to pocket each other. So like Mercy's, Zen's, Moira's, it's relevant.
Right.
Once more under the breach.
So I see the Widow, and I'm trying to take a different, like,
Yep.
pathing.
I'm good with it. You found the Widow.
Yeah.
No rush. No rush. You're getting antsy?
And then I bubble here because I see the hog.
Right, you don't
and,
want to instantly get
yeah.
hooked. I get it. You're gonna leave, you're gonna leave, you're gonna leave. Okay.
And somewhere in that, I lost the Anna.
Yep.
Fire! Keep out of my way. You're powered up. Get in there.
Okay. You had primals that was justifiable. Better. No, your primals aren't terrible. I mean, you had a bad one, but these last two were okay.
It just feels super scuffed every time.
I get it. I get it.
Switching sides. Ready for battle. Attackers.
Okay, so we see something that we could call your engagement timing. I'd say engagement timing is part of it. I'd also say just sort of like, yeah, we'd call it engagement timing, which is still the, hey, we got to understand when our team can contribute and when they can't for our engagement decision. Like, that's something that we've got to be still more aware of, and I think we've illustrated that a few times throughout here. The primal, I'm a little less concerned about. I know it doesn't feel perfect. We had certainly one that was mistake territory. But let's see what we get here.
See the Zen? And in team chat here, the Widow of the enemy team became May because I guess like she just wasn't getting value, and so she was saying that she's gonna throw, which is just weird.
Sure.
So she walled off her Zen there.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, so you're just going to play to the reality, though. I mean, you have no understanding of whether this wall is immediately going to come right back down or not, and this is a little scary. But yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to drop our bubble, and we're immediately going to get outside our bubble, which we don't really do. Like, you went back in.
Yeah.
Could this Zen with this wall here actually outrange you in any way?
Outrange? Yes.
Outrange? Really?
Like what do you mean like damage? Like
So if
poke?
you stand outside your bubble and you zap at
Oh,
this Zen from outside your
no.
bubble, he can't outrange you. But you didn't continue rotating outside of your bubble. So you went like this. You decided to jump him, which was a little scary, but you decided to jump him when you were pre-discorded and at half health. And you go like this, and you drop your bubble, and you should immediately be thinking, I got to get outside my bubble. Like, I got to get outside my bubble to win this. Because he got a huge lead on you. And you do have to get outside your bubble. And D.Va comes and messes things up, but you're pressing W. And I can see that you're pressing W. You see how that goes? Like,
Yeah.
you don't want to be pressing W.
I do.
Unless that May wall dropped, he couldn't get away. So, all good.
Miracle of science.
Enemy turret destroyed.
Payload in transit. Payload in transit.
We're pushing cart. Our D.Va's kind of in there. We don't have leap yet. So what could we do? Like, if we go and look at this, we've landed here and we decide to drop to help push the payload. And we're deciding to push payload now. Okay, I can live with that.
I could have like W'd in and then bubbled to try to like take off some pressure from her, so I hit him from a different angle.
Could also have increased your angle by using the time that you were waiting on your jump cooldown anyway to walk over here, right? And then you're actually hitting them from an extreme different angle that they don't expect. Okay. Okay, where do you go right now?
So enemy turret neutralized.
You push cart. Fine. Hide behind the cart. You have no poke phase. Yeah, I don't know about that one. So, like, here we go. Sure. Oh, Anna used her cooldown. Great. Can't nade herself. Fantastic. If you chase the Zen, where's your out?
Yeah.
Like, if you
There
jump
is none.
right here, maybe you can eliminate him and then curve here. Oops, this is a problem. So there's no out if you commit on this Zen. And you might think, hey, it's okay, I'm trading. And maybe it is, but like, you're about to give up 500 health of ult charge. You're at the end of your checkpoint. And if you're trying to climb rank, you have to think that you're better than the players that you're playing with and against, right? Not wildly better, but a little bit better.
Right.
So just going 1-for-1 in a situation, sometimes 1-for-1's the only option you have, but you could get out right now pretty easily, right?
Yeah, and I should have.
Yes. Yes. Value your life. You got it. Like, this is like, no. And sure, you get him, but his Tor should get you. Doesn't, but should.
Oh no, he does.
Oh no. And then you didn't even leave with your, oh. Easy leave.
Poor choice
Right
there.
over here.
Further experimentation required. Moving in. What they say, payload in motion stays in motion.
I see this. I could do something about this. Or I could just
I
walk
should have
over
wrapped
here.
around.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Do not want. Do not want. You're gonna break this mech. But at what cost? Okay.
That's fair.
And I don't know why I left her. I should have.
I don't
obviously
either.
Finished her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to
There's
finish her
lots
before
of
she
mistakes.
remacks. Yep, all good. I mean, it's not all good. We'll fix it, but... No, I don't want to come out this way.
Yeah.
Like, this is the direction that they're already looking. I know they're already looking. Let me go over here. If I'm going to leap engage regardless, which I probably am, like, I can't fight them from here. So I either have to wait until they walk in which case I can just zap them from the side from here, or I need to use leap to engage. And if I'm going to use leap to engage, I'd prefer to come in from the greater angle, because that's not where their crosshair is pre-trained. It's going to take them more time to react. Excuse me. Was it communicated that you were going to get this nano?
It was not.
Okay. So do you like this leap in hindsight?
No, not really.
Okay.
I have no cooldowns. I'm low health.
Right.
There's the turret. I hate turrets.
Yep, I get it.
Not even angry.
Good, and now it's time to leave. On to Diva, great. Better.
And then
Less good.
Yeah.
Again, if your health situation is bad, we'll just stay up top. It's much better to be alive and be something that the opponent sort of have to consider in their mind and calculate for, even if you're not contributing more than simply being alive, than it is to be in spawn.
Makes sense, yeah. It's like when I look back at this, I see like all these simple mistakes that, like I say, like at the time, it makes sense. Yeah.
Right, it feels like, oh, there's 3 people here, 2 of them are supports, jumping them totally makes sense, except it doesn't. And you get that now, but I totally understand in this situation the draw to do so. Yep.
Yeah.
Sad timing.
Yeah.
Primal comes up right as she gets you.
Re-engaging.
So, like, you can do this. I don't have an issue with you doing this. But rather than, like, figuring out how you're going to advance on this team, is this team really going to punish you if you jump up here? Like, Diva could chase you, but if Diva chases you up here, Anna's still got line of sight of you, right?
Right.
So, like, rather than figuring out how am I going to walk at this team with no poke, how about I just take a route where they can't really poke me?
It makes sense, and I see it now.
You're, like, trying to figure out, how do I do this? I'll just leap at them. I mean, okay, but the turret's shooting at you on the way in. Torb is going to see you instantly. Anna's going to see you instantly. If you dropped back here, you'd have gotten the jump on them. At least partially. Or even if you didn't get the jump on them because they were ready for you, they'd have had to have this nagging thing in the back of their mind. Is he going to be here? Is he going to be here? The whole time that you're rotating, which is relieving pressure on your main team a little.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah.
This is just brutal because you're down 2, now you're down 3. You're looking at this, you go, hey, I want the Anna. You actually can't take down the Anna anymore, so you swap down to Torb, or you swap to Torb. That's not in the Zen, but I get it. And then you try and come back. Okay, doesn't matter.
It was a hard loss.
I get it. Ouch. Okay. So we see this, and there's definitely some major things I can point out about your gameplay. We could sort of frame it as engagement timing, and that's fine with me. We could talk a little about bubble use, but that's not where I'd actually really dig into your gameplay the hardest right now. Where I'd dig into your gameplay the hardest would really be more in a value your own life standpoint. And that's going to take 2 different branches of valuing your own life. The first branch of valuing your own life is going to be really strongly considering what you're doing with your leap cooldowns, or really strongly not hesitate, but really strongly consider before you commit a leap cooldown without a bubble or primal or nano or something available to you, right? Like, that's the first thing where you're just like way too willing to go, aha, I'm going to get you. And you should sort of have a mental checklist of, do I have any of my resources that will allow me to do this jump without a bubble? Is it going to get an elimination? Is there something I can reliably kite around immediately to survive? Is my Anna going to be able to see me if I go for this? Do I want to rely on my Anna seeing me? Or is it going to be really expensive to, have her pocketing me? And even if she can see me, like if I get discorded, she's not going to be able to help me. So like there should sort of be that checklist. And sometimes you might break that rule, but you should have a firm understanding of what you're doing, and it shouldn't be automatic. It should be automatic not to go for that unless there's something to do, and maybe you'll override that decision sometimes because it's particularly good type thing. Like, hey, you've got, you just got animated, Anna can see you, and you've got a BAP on your team type thing, where the healing is going to be insane. Like, you might override it for a specific reason, but generally let's try to frame this as, hey, you are going to be much more hesitant is the wrong word, but much more intentional in your leaps when you don't have bubble available. Like your defaults are you can leap out with it. Maybe you leap to finish someone off, but even if you leap to finish someone off, that's not amazing unless finishing them off is going to lower the incoming damage enough for you to survive, because finishing someone off, your life should be more valuable than theirs. And then again, we've got this, hey, is there something that we can kite around? Are we going to get like a Zarya bubble? Something in these lines. So we really want to consider these
Right.
secondary leaps. And the other way to get around this is if you don't have your bubble, we'll just walk at someone through paths that you're not going to get in trouble for. Or even if you do have your bubble available, you can walk at people from paths that you're not going to get in trouble from, zap them, and then put your bubble down. And then it's easy to go, okay, and now I'm going to use my leap to leave because I walked at a path like this, no problem, can do whatever I want, easy out. And then if you don't have bubble, you can do the same thing. You walk from a path that's not going to get you into trouble, you drop, you zap them, you don't have your bubble, but you have your leap, so you can leave the instant things get bad. So like that's how we want to think about this. So our first thought is be really careful with these leaps when we don't have bubble. And our second thought is how can we do more pathing, both that's safer for us to get there and that's going to give us better angles, because we don't really want to come in from main if we can avoid it. Like our diva might come in from main when we're partnered with a diva because she was watching her backline until the last possible minute and then she commits to the dive with us. Or we might have a case of, that is interesting over there. We might have a case of Zarya is committing from main, but as Winston, we're not really interested in committing from main. We're much more interested in, can I get an angle to come in? Can I sneak up behind you? And what that does for us is it makes our dive stronger because it's coming from a direction where their crosshair isn't pre-trained, but it also
Mhm.
will frequently cause them to not be able to shoot at us. Again, no poke phase for Winston. He just doesn't have one. So like if you can go, hey, I'm going to get as close as possible before leaping on you or before engaging on you, before you can see me, that's really going to benefit him because he doesn't have ranged until Overwatch 2. So those are actually the two things I would have you
Yeah.
focus on. Does that
Okay.
make sense? Do you have
It does.
questions about how to implement those, or do you feel like you got your head around those?
I got the majority of it. So it's
Okay.
just kind of more of like playing, like I guess like changing the tempo, right? Because like my tempo is kind of just I'm always going.
Always on.
Like
Yep.
yeah,
And that's not
and I
really
feel
what
like
we want. I mean, Winston has times when he's on, but Winston is, a
yeah,
thinker. Like Winston is, okay, let me think, and Winston has to value his own life. That is the difference, they will tell you,
yeah,
everyone will tell you, between, the top Winstons and the Winstons one tier back. It's the, okay, they actually value their life and they don't get more aggressive than they can handle. They understand when they can handle it. Go ahead.
all right. So I'll play from my play around my cooldowns, right?
Hmm.
And hopefully the next game I will show you the improvement.
I look forward to it. You can
All
reach out
right.
to me whenever you're ready for the next game. As you have discovered, or as you know, I can usually fit you in within, day of, next day, day after type thing. My schedule's usually flexible enough for that, assuming yours is. So just let me know when
Right.
you feel like you're ready, and we'll get it scheduled.
All right. Sounds